Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. In today's story, a man hits hard financial times, asks for short-term family support, and discovers that comfort, entitlement, and a 3-bedroom house can turn someone into a gatekeeper overnight. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Sister won't let me move back into our parents' house. I'm 27, a dad to a small son, and living with my girlfriend, who's also my kid's mother. Like a lot of people right now, the last few months have been rough financially. Nothing dramatic, no drugs or gambling or stupid decisions, just life doing what it does when you're already running close to empty. I lost my job, found another one quickly, but it pays less. Bills don't magically shrink just because your paycheck does, and I could see the writing on the wall before things got ugly. So I started thinking like a parent instead of a pride-filled idiot. The smart move, at least temporarily, was to reduce costs and stabilize. That meant swallowing my ego and considering moving back into my dad's house for a year or so while we got back on our feet. Not forever, not rent-free for a decade, just long enough to breathe. Here's the family layout, because it matters. I'm the middle of 3 siblings. My younger sister is 26 and lives with roommates across town. My older sister is 30 and has a 3-year-old son. Our parents divorced about 10 years ago. My dad moved out and has been renting his own place ever since. He has 0 plans to move back. My mom bought her own house last year and moved out too, which means the family house, the one we all grew up in, is currently being used by exactly one adult, my older sister. Just her and her kid, in a 2-story house, 3 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, a yard, plenty of space. So I did what I thought was reasonable. I went over, sat down with her, and explained the situation calmly. I told her I'd lost my job, found another one, and that my girlfriend and I were struggling to keep everything afloat. I said we were thinking about moving back into Dad's house temporarily with our son just until things stabilized. I wasn't demanding, I wasn't showing up with boxes, I wasn't saying pack your stuff. I was talking. She lost her mind. She immediately started yelling about space, about how there wasn't enough room, about how she was good by herself and didn't want anyone else there. She talked over me, waved her hands around, and acted like I just told her I was planning to knock down walls and install bunk beds in the living room. I honestly sat there stunned. This wasn't a studio apartment. This wasn't her private home that she paid for. This was our dad's house, and she was talking like I was some random cousin trying to crash on her couch. I said, it's a 3-bedroom house. We wouldn't even be sharing rooms. She shot back, you don't understand. It would change everything. That's when it hit me. She wasn't worried about space. She was worried about comfort, about not being alone anymore, about not having the run of the place. I left feeling like I'd stepped into an alternate reality. After cooling off, I talked to my parents, and that's when more context came out, context that made her reaction make a lot more sense, even if it didn't make it acceptable. She doesn't pay rent at all. She doesn't pay utilities. She doesn't pay property taxes. She's been living there for over a year entirely off child support and help from my parents. Groceries, bills, random expenses, all covered. She has a law degree and has had it for 3 years, but she doesn't want to get a job. So effectively, she's been living alone in a large family house free of charge while the rest of us moved out years ago and figured life out the hard way. When I put that together, the picture got real clear. Me moving in, even temporarily, would disrupt her setup. She wouldn't be the unquestioned ruler of the house anymore. She'd have to share common space. She might even have to hear someone else's kid laugh in her living room. After our conversation, instead of reflecting on her reaction, she went straight to calling both parents to complain. She expected them to back her up, to tell me I was unreasonable, to tell me to figure it out on my own. That's not what happened. My dad, who actually owns the house, was shocked. He told her plainly that it wasn't her house, that it was meant to support family, and that if she didn't like that, she was welcome to find her own place. Until then, the house could be used by any of his kids who needed it. My mom backed him up. My sister did not take this well. She blocked both of them, just blocked them, like a teenager slamming a bedroom door, except with a smartphone and a toddler in tow. My dad called me afterward and said, I don't recognize this behavior. I didn't expect this from her. Neither did I. Here's the thing that really bothers me. I get that dynamics would change. Of course they would. 2 adults and 2 kids under one roof isn't the same as living alone. I'm not pretending it would be effortless or silent or perfectly harmonious, but that's life. Adults adapt. If she wants total control, total quiet, and zero disruption, the adult solution is to get her own place, like my younger sister did, like I did years ago. Not to squat indefinitely in a family house and act like it's a personal inheritance. And the kicker? I don't even care if she lives there forever. Truly, if that's what my parents want and what works for them, fine. It's not my call. But you don't get to live rent-free in a house you don't own and then tell another struggling sibling they're not welcome. Especially when that sibling has a kid. This isn't about entitlement on my part, it's about perspective. I'm not asking for luxury, I'm not asking for handouts, I'm asking for a temporary safety net so my family doesn't drown while I rebuild. And the irony is thick enough to choke on. The sibling with a law degree, no rent, no bills, and full parental support is the one claiming there's no space. So yeah, I'm still processing it, still disappointed, still shocked. But one thing's clear now, that house was never hers, it was just convenient for her to believe it was. She didn't freak out because of space, she freaked out because you accidentally poked the one thing she's been protecting for over a year, her bubble. No rent, no bills, no accountability, no timeline. You weren't asking for a room, you were threatening her illusion of independence without responsibility. And our next story. Thieves don't get far. Freshman year of college was the year I met some of the best people I've known. The girls on my floor were for the most part super friendly and we'd all hang out together. One of these girls was DK. We were especially close and were together almost every day through drunken nights and family drama. We had each other's backs. Sadly, she had to leave after freshman year due to family problems, but we stayed in touch and I'd still visit her at home since we lived near each other. One summer day over my sophomore year, she contacted me saying she needed a place to stay for a week since her mom kicked her out, red flag, and had nowhere to go. She'd do hair until she had the money to get a bus ticket and make it to her friend's house. I agreed to let her crash on the couch. Things were okay at first. We hung out like old times, and she would get groceries, usually stolen, another red flag, for me to cook. I was broke, so having food at all made me happy. Eventually, the week had turned into over a month of her sleeping on the couch and making zero attempts to make money and leave. After some thought, I told her that it had to end. I'm risking my housing by sneaking her in and out every day. The least she could do is try to find a more permanent situation. I gave her a week to find somewhere else and told her I'd drop her off somewhere if she needed. She said okay, and things went on as usual. One morning after a particularly fun party at a friend's house, I checked my bank account to find it was in the negative. I checked the statement and bus ticket had been bought with my card. I called the bank to report the fraud and find that someone also attempted to use my card at the ATM to withdraw money that I'd sent to my mom. Luckily, she'd already withdrawn it. Now I had a feeling it was DK, but I had no proof, and she denied it. Hell, she even tried to help me figure out who it was. About 5 days from when I told her she had to go, we were drunk and on our way out. I give her my phone to log into her Twitter and see if she can find a house party. She forgot to log out, so I go into her DMs and see her messaging someone talking about how she bought bus tickets for her and a boy to go to Jersey, and she's getting dropped at the train station. I'd agreed to drop her off near where the bus was leaving from. Not only did she steal from me, she tried to steal money I sent my mom for bills. I was livid, but I put a mask on and had a good time for the night. I consulted with other friends who all suggested I beat her up. My mom told me no because I didn't need assault charges, but I thought of something legal. The day comes where I'm to drop her off 100 miles away. We're walking to my car with all her belongings when I ask her one last time, "Did you take my card to use?" And again she denied. So I told her she's a liar and how I'd found the messages. I saw the surprise flash across her face before she started begging. It hurt to lose a friend, but damn it felt good to leave her watching my taillights on the side of the road in a city where she had no friends with everything she owned in a suitcase. Someone she knew had to drive over an hour to get her, and I alerted the bus company to the fraud so she couldn't leave. F her. Later that week, I went to file a report against her, so they put a warrant out for felony fraud charges. I still like to think I beat her up honestly. Turns out she stole my wallet out a back room while we were at a friend's house because stupid broke B shouldn't have left her wallet where it could be taken, as she bragged on Twitter. No good deed goes unpunished. You played the smarter game and won. Now she's someone else's nightmare, and you get to enjoy your home in peace. And our last story. My siblings harass our 80-year-old mother for her hidden money. My brother, sister, sister-in-law, and brother-in-law all seem to think my mother owes them her house, her land, or a pile of money she doesn't have, preferably immediately. The consensus among them appears to be that Mom should either hand everything over and move into an assisted living facility, or at the very least buy them houses so they can get established. My mother's almost 80. She's sharp, independent, and more physically attractive than people half her age. She's well-educated, stubborn in the best possible way, and very much capable of managing her own life. The only thing she does not do anymore is tolerate nonsense. Unfortunately, that's not stopped two of my siblings from applying relentless pressure anyway. A few years ago, my stepfather passed away. He was a good man, kind to my mother, and a steady presence in her life. He was not our biological father and did not raise us. My parents married later in life, after all of us were already adults and out of the house. This distinction will become important because certain family members seem unable or unwilling to grasp it. Shortly after his death, my older brother and younger sister became convinced that my mother had inherited some sort of hidden fortune. They were sure there was cash stashed in the house. When that theory failed, they pivoted to the idea of a secret bank account. Apparently, in their minds, grief automatically produces treasure. They started visiting more often, too often. One would distract Mom while the other wandered through the house, drawers, closets, filing cabinets, anywhere money might theoretically be hidden. My mother noticed, of course. She didn't say much at first because she still believed they would come to their senses. They did not. The truth is boring, painfully boring. My mother does not have secret money. I handle most of her banking. I set up her accounts. I manage autopay. I see every deposit and every withdrawal. She owns her house outright now, but that wasn't magic, inheritance, or hidden savings. After my stepfather passed, I quietly organized a GoFundMe to pay off the remainder of her mortgage. Friends, community members, and people who cared about her contributed. It worked. The house was paid off. My siblings were deliberately kept out of the loop because we knew exactly what would happen if they knew there was money involved. For a while, they simply fixated on the fact that the house was suddenly paid off. That alone was enough to convince them they had been cheated. They pressured her harder, asking leading questions, made comments about what she was going to do with the rest of it. Rest of what exactly remained unclear. Eventually, we told them about the GoFundMe, not because we had to, but because we hoped it would shut this down. It did the opposite. They demanded a full accounting of the funds. They wanted to know who donated, how much was left, and where it was being kept. They insisted anything remaining should be distributed fairly. When I explained that there was nothing left, that it went directly to paying off the mortgage, they accused me of hiding money and threatened to take me to court for elder financial abuse. That was the moment I stopped trying to reason with them. My mother lives on less than $4,000 a month. That covers utilities, groceries, property taxes, insurance, and basic expenses. There's no luxury budget, there's no cushion. She has enough to live, but not enough to indulge. To make things easier for her, I pay her water bill and her cell phone bill myself and transfer the money monthly. I do this because I can and because she spent her life doing the same for others. This has not stopped them from insisting she help them out. They've told her directly that since she refuses to give up her house, she should at least give them money for down payments. When she said no, they suggested she give them each an acre of her land. They speak as if these are reasonable compromises rather than wildly inappropriate demands. They're convinced she's lying. They're convinced I'm lying. They're convinced there is a hidden account somewhere because otherwise none of this makes sense to them. What they also refuse to accept is that my stepfather did not raise us and did not owe us an inheritance. They argue that they called him Dad, so that should count. I've explained multiple times that emotional labels do not create legal entitlements. They don't care. The entitlement has only grown worse with time. Recently, my mother called me late in the evening. She sounded exhausted. She'd spent the day working in her high tunnel, tending plants, doing real work. Meanwhile, my brother and sister had been calling her repeatedly for weeks. The pressure had escalated again. This time they talked openly about splitting her house and property between themselves. Not when she dies, not hypothetically. They spoke about it as if she were an administrative task that simply needed scheduling. They mentioned again her secret bank account. There are 5 siblings in total. The 3 of us are not involved in this nonsense. We have careers, we have homes, we are stable. Apparently that disqualifies us. In their worldview, because they're struggling more than the rest of us, they're entitled to her assets by default. What they don't know, and what they will not know until it becomes unavoidable, is that my mother has already made her decision. She's left her house and 5 acres of land to an animal rescue and activist group she's worked with for years. She is deeply involved with them. She believes in what they do. She wants her property to continue serving something meaningful after she's gone. I know this because I am the executor of her will. She asked me not to tell them, so I won't. For now, my job is to protect her peace, make sure her bills are paid, and keep the wolves at bay. They can speculate, accuse, and invent secret fortunes all they want. The reality will arrive eventually, whether they're prepared for it or not. And when it does, it'll be very quiet. Tell them you and your mom knew they were snooping, looking for money, so you put it all in different banks where they can't get at it. And if they should ever try to get any of it, the bank officials know what they look like and have been warned. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.